He's got a brother from the County Galway comes up here for the horse show every year. Oh, a hop of me thumb, you wouldn't notice if he passed you on the stairs. But last year he turns up at the uncle's pub in Drumcondra, fully dressed up in his fancy riding breeches, equipped with cheque-book and fountain pen. Gave your man as his reference. The poor, unfortunate bloody uncle. The poor, unfortunate bloody uncle. £12, 15 shillings he was stung for. But £13, you might say. £13 who spent a good month of his life gathering together by the sweat of his brow. Did you ever hear anything like it?
Ah, the chequebook is the man. Money's the time I wish to God I'd one of my own.
Of course, that crowd digs with the other foot. It's a lot of money to be stung for. Some publicans are very foolish.
Digs with the other foot? If you were to ask me, it's with both feet they do their digging. Sure, whatever suits their foot at a time, that's the foot they dig with. And they do all their digging in other people's pockets. Sure, wasn't your man's wife up for lifting stuff out of slatteries?
Yes, that's right, I didn't hear that.
Certainly she was, man. Certainly she was.
The God, half the town's been up there taking stuff out night and day. Some of them do be bringing hand carts up there to sell.
It's funny how some families all seem to go the one way. It's like some sort of a streak. It's in the blood, I suppose.
Why, it's in the blood right enough.
There's a bad, ugly streak to that crowd. And all from a good education. All from the Christian Brothers, no less.
Don't be talking, man. Sure, it's up at Mountjoy Jail and have every one of them. Doing a stretch of 7 years apiece for grand larceny and robbery and thievery and every crime in the calendar. Wasn't that this other brother? You know, the one who nipped off to America after sticking up a bank in the Troubles? And all in the name of Ireland, God help us.
I've forgotten all about the bank stick-up, Mr. Coolan.
We put up with far too much in this country. There's this other gentleman who comes in here for his pint. He ought to be locked up too. Oh, he's a fine, a respectable gentleman. Shh, what was that?
What's that?
What I heard.
Maybe the guards.
The guards! The guards, to God, we're bunched!
Oh, I thought that Sergeant on the prowl again.
Guards on duty! Guards on duty, will you please open up, Mr. Coolan?
Well, keep very quiet.
Guards on duty!
Well, that's that. All right. All right, Sergeant, I'm coming. Good evening to you, Sergeant. That's a hearty cold one for you tonight.
That's all right, guard. It is indeed, as you say, Mr. Coolan, a cold, raw class of night. It isn't a seasonable time of year at all for the time of year, it is not indeed.
We can't complain, Sergeant. It's a mild enough winter so far. We can't complain.
The house is in the wife's name, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Coolan.
Yes, Sergeant, the house is in the wife's name.
I suppose you know my name as well, Sergeant.
Oh, I do, and if I'm not altogether mistaken, that's another old friend of mine beyond.
True enough, Sergeant. Many's the time we've met before, and will again, thank God.
We'll meet again. Many's the time, many's the time.
You wouldn't mind if I finished my pint of porter, would you, Sergeant? We don't want waste in these hard times, do we?
What you might do when my back is turned is a thing I know nothing at all about.
Well, we might as well be hung for sheep as lambs, I suppose.
Indeed. And we all know, Sergeant, that you have the terrible time of it in the performance of your duty.
You're right, Mr. Coolan.
Maybe as much as my livelihood, or your promotion in the Guards was worth for me to offer you a drink after hours, or for you to accept it. Even on a cold and blizzardy one like this, when the flesh might be skinned off your bones, and you in the pursuit of your duty. Now think of that, gentlemen, think of that. If I were caught offering you a drink after hours, I might be brought up on the gravest charges. Bribery, corruption, the attempted suborning of the police force.
God save us, Mr. Coolan.
What would happen to you, Sergeant, I do not rightly know. Not being fully acquainted with the rules, regulations and disciplinary measures of the Civic Guards, or Garda Síochána as now known. Begone, Sergeant, the both of us have the hard time of it, and I feel badly in need of a big ball of malt. We perished with the cold all day, and now at night time with a breach of closed hours on me hands. God help us.
Why, the cold was something fierce today. You'd want mufflers around your legs as well as around your neck.
But the summer won't be long now.
Summer? Do you remember last August, Sergeant?
I do, and I don't, Mr. Cullen. I do and I don't.
As the grand month of summer we had. I was out swimming twice. The water was like soup, and the heat of the rocks would nearly scorch the feet of you.
I never had any time for the water at all. It's not a natural thing to be getting into. It's all right for fish, of course.
That month of summer we had was so hot, it put me in mind of my time when I was out serving in the King's uniform beyond in Mespot.
The God, where's that?
Mesopotamia. Have you never heard tell of Mesopotamia? Well, there was me, fighting the Arabs and the Turks, fighting for small nationalities, you know. God, Sergeant, not the queer one. That month of summer we had was so hot it put me in mind of the First World War.
Ah, them two great wars were desperate and ferocious encounters.
I suppose it was very hot out there.
Hot? I don't believe there was heat anywhere like it before or after. It was a class of heat that the people in this part of the world wouldn't understand at all. Wait, 40 years and more, and I can still feel that sun out beyond in Shat Al Arab. That's where we landed, Sergeant.
Was there much sunstroke?
Sunstroke? We thought the heat in the ship was bad enough. So it was, until we landed. 3,000 of us. The first thing I feels walking down that gangway was a big rush of hot air up my nose. The heat came belting up out of the ground like smoke from an engine. The air was so thin you couldn't feel yourself breathing it. It was stretched out, thinned down, if you know what I mean, by the heat coming at it from out of the sky and out of the ground and from all sides. It was all dry, no moisture in it, like a withered pea. It was like putting your head into an oven and taking a deep breath.
I don't much like the sound of that, Mr. Coulihan, bad as the weather is in Ireland.
You haven't heard half of it. We weren't finished gasping for breath when another desperate thing happened. You know the lads. The lads were hours coming off that boat, so the rest of us was lined up along the quayside. And after a while, I began to feel tired standing on my 2 feet, if you know what I mean. I began to shift my weight from one foot to the other. And do you know what I'm going to tell you? Do you know what I'm going to tell you? My feet were stuck. Stuck to the ground.
Oh my God, but you must have had spikes in them.
Ah, spikes be damned! Sure weren't we standing there in our rubber-soled tropical boots? It wasn't the rubber beginning to melt under us.
I never heard anything like that in my life. Never.
1,000 men lined up along the quays, and none of them able to budge. It was fierce. Gentlemen, fierce.
Did you ever throw a bit of rubber into the fire by accident? My God, the hum of it would nearly burn the nose off you altogether.
Of course we were soldiers. No question of excuse me, sir. My feet is stuck, sir. My shoes is melted, sir. What do I do, sir? Oh, none of that class of thing at all. It was only a matter of waiting for the order to quick march. You should have seen us when the order came. Did you ever see a fly